So my latest release is The Windsor Conspiracy, and it's all about Wallace Simpson and the Duke of Windsor and their treasonous activities during World War II. And it's told through the perspective of Amelia Montague, who is a fictional second cousin of Wallace Simpson and ends up becoming her personal secretary. And she's there for everything from the Windsor's very lackluster wedding to when they have to flee Europe because of the Nazi invasion, and then them getting sent to the Bahamas in order to get him away from his Nazi friends so that he would stop causing trouble. But the Bahamas was not far enough away for him to stop causing trouble. And what I found fascinating about this book is that there are documents you can read online, FBI documents and things like that, that show what he was up to. Because everybody wants to paint the Duke and Duchess of Windsor as this love story of the century. Oh, he gave up his throne for her, and it was all magical and sunshine and roses. And the truth is, it was so much darker. And the truth is, they were not a great couple, not even with each other, but just in general, they weren't great people. And she had ambitions, and they were thwarted when he abdicated the throne for her. And the Nazis kind of offered her the deal, and they offered it to him as well, that if you play ball with us, when we invade England and take it over, you can become king and queen again. And they were willing to do that. And they tried to do that. It just ended up not happening. Well, what was fascinating about it is how closely they were aligned to people who had Nazi sympathies and how easily those people were in their lives and a lot of the things that the Duke did. So one of the things was he was in Europe because the royal family didn't want him around. He was very inconvenient to them because he had been a very popular king. And it's like somebody made the thing, it's like the Pope. You're not supposed to be two popes. And so they didn't want anything to do with him. So they kept him in Europe, but he was very weak minded. And so anybody who kind of flattered him and would sort of treat him like royalty, he would go with. And so just from the beginning, the chateau where they get married is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Badeau, who are Nazi sympathizers, and they immediately fall in with them. And then the next thing you know, the Nazis are on the move, and then the Duke of Windsor gets stationed to the Maginot Line. And while he's there, he's feeding information to Charles Badeau, and that guy's giving it to Germany, and he's telling them what to do and where to invade. And then he gets out of there before they invade. And they're trying to stick around to see which way the wind blows. And so because there's so many historically accurate things about them being involved in that, including that they didn't, when France finally fell, they were in their house in the south of France, and the British kept trying to get them to leave, and they wouldn't because they were waiting to see what was going to happen and if the Nazis were going to be able to put them on the throne of England and stuff like that. But then they finally got to the point where you have to leave now. Like there was no choice. And so they had to do the same thing that all the other refugees did. They had to try and drive to Spain. And there's newspaper reports and there's diary reports of what happened during that time, where they're sleeping on the side of the road. They ended up at some point in Biarritz, where the Germans knew they were there because their friends told them, and they made an announcement. The Germans made an announcement over the radio saying, yeah, we know where you're staying. We know what room you're in. The next thing you know, everybody's shooting daggers at them, and they had to kind of quietly leave. So there was just a lot of historical facts to draw from to be able to weave in how the Nazis and they were involved and how they ended up, like I said, having to flee Europe and doing it in the dead of night, where they had to hide their stuff so the Nazis didn't get it. And so it was fun to learn about all of that, because it's not something you hear about very often with their story.